everybody. Welcome to The Session. I'm your host, Justin Crosley, back in the studio after a pretty epic weekend here at the Hop Grenades. We got a good show planned for you today. We had our Hop Grenade 10th anniversary this past Saturday. We've been here for 10 years, and 10 wonderful breweries brewed us 10 amazing beers, and one of those breweries is here with us today, back in the studio once again after, I don't know, it's been a couple years at least. Andy Crocker and his team from Original Pattern Brewing Company. Welcome, Andy.
Thank you, Justin. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you back. You've been a busy person, and you've had a busy team, and so getting you back in here has been a struggle for both of us.
Yeah, it has. It's been, 5 years? No, 6 years.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, it's been since Wildcard, so...
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that.
No, I haven't been in with OP yet. You've been bugging me for 5 years, so...
Well, actually, how nice
6.
I am. I didn't realize
that's fine.
It was that long. Amazing.
No, stoked to be here, mate. Stoked to be here.
Well, and you've got your senior brewer here with you, Evan Collins. Welcome to the studio, Evan.
Hello, thank you.
It's nice to have you.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks for listening. I believe you made our beer that we're going to talk about, right?
Oh, yeah.
You brewed it?
Brewed it solo, dry hopped it solo. What's up?
All right, well, we've got a lot to talk about.
Just happened to be the first turn of the day, so.
I see. Okay. Just like That's fair. That's fair. And then we've got Virginia Vaughn, who's your co-director of sales, I believe. Right, Virginia?
That's me. Thank you so much. It's a privilege to be here.
Happy to have you guys. So as my listeners know, and certainly you know, Andy, I'm just, not just me, but everyone here at the Hop Grenade, just huge Original Pattern fans. Been a fan of Andy's beer for a long time, but you guys have just really... I don't know, just really dialed it in over the last couple of years, I think. And so just a big fan. And then, as I mentioned, we had our Hop Grenade 10th anniversary party this past weekend. So I never really go out and pull the card like, hey, guys, I need something back. I don't do that. But for 10 years, I felt like it was important. So I phoned up 10 different breweries, and you all said yes. We're so gracious to make it happen. So... We've got one of your beers in our glasses. It's a Session IPA. Teresa's here hosting with us again. Welcome back, Teresa.
Thank you. It's been a minute.
I know. It's been so long. We haven't done a lot of shows in here. I've done some shows out of here and whatnot, so it's good to have you back.
Yeah, likewise.
So what we've got is Session IPA from Original Pattern, which is both the style and the name, because Andy named it after our show.
I did name it after the show.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and if you look at the can, it's got the Session hops all over it.
It is
a super cool looking can.
It is tied for the sexiest can I've ever seen in my life. And obviously I'm biased, but you guys and Altamont both did awesome cans using the Hop Grenade logo. And you used the Brewing Network Hop Grenade, which is slightly different from the Hop Grenade's Hop Grenade. And so the two together, thank you for doing that. The artwork is
very, very excited. I was very stoked when you asked me. So
I'm glad. And I'm surprised, like everybody was. And, the reason it's a little surprising, I know that we're friends and you guys like to do collabs, but it's kind of hard to get in the middle of a brewing schedule nowadays. Like, you guys have this... Back when I started the Brewing Network, which, by the way, is much older, it'll be 20 years next year.
Ooh.
I could get on people's brewing schedule tomorrow. I just, whatever. Everyone... I feel like things just weren't as planned as they are nowadays. But I think with the size that you guys have become and just the way brewers have to address the market nowadays, you guys have a 6-month out schedule at least, right?
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay.
We're pretty lucky. We're kind of week to week. Well, I wouldn't say week to week, but we don't have any core beers, so everything's constantly rotating. So we can kind of just sub something in. I was talking with Roger from Faction on Saturday, and we're going to try and do a collab. And he's like, "Well, when can we do it?" And I'm like, "I know. We're going to do it Tuesday."
Nice. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So
sometimes you can still just get in there. Okay.
Yeah.
And that I immediately have questions for Virginia about that. When you say you don't have core beers, I don't know, 5 or so years ago, that was way more common than it is now. And I feel like it's come back around that even breweries who mostly rotate still have a core 4. How do you feel about that, from a sales perspective, not having a core?
I mean, it's hard to complain with success, you know. So, but we do, in our sales team meetings, we have kicked around the idea of having a flagship or two and talked to Andy about what those would be. There are certain handles that really, really want just one specific beer, and if I can, I have an amazing sales team. If we can get in front of them and talk to them about how amazing having a rotating IPA or a rotating lager is, we can usually sell them on it.
Sounds like a fairly easy sell, yeah. Like places like us, like where it's perfect. When we opened 10 years ago, actually, if it weren't for the Brewing Network, I don't think we would have gotten as many cool beers because most salespeople hated us for the fact that we were like, no, we're not. We're actually, you don't get a handle. Nobody gets a handle. And in 10 years, only 2 breweries have ever gotten a handle. I've said this many times. Russian River gets a handle because they pay my rent. And Heretic used to have a handle because Jamil Zainashev helped me start the Brewing Network. So when he opened his own brewery, but everybody else, we were like Rotator. And honestly, sales reps were really annoyed with us. But when they went back to the brewery and found out, like, the brewer was like, oh no, but it's the Brewing Network's bar. Yeah, give them whatever they want. So back then, it was odd to have constantly rotating. Now, every bar is like, I guess not every, as you just said, is like, please give me the newest thing. Give me a new rotator.
Yeah. It's the ones with the big distro beers that we come up against that are tough. And I always say to them, hey, there's 2 different beer drinkers. There's people who want the exact same beer every time they sit down, and there's people that are excited about rotators.
Yeah.
And there should be room in your lineup for at least one rotating handle.
Right. Agreed. Have you thought about making a steam-like beer and taking over all of those handles in the San Francisco Bay Area, Andy?
We've thought about it. But, look, in all honesty, like, it's kind of like what Virginia just said. Like, I feel like part of our success has been with our rotating model.
Yeah.
There's not... I catch up with the sales team at least once a month in a in-person meeting, and the feedback I get from them, it's just like, not many bars want to buy the same beer 2 weeks in a row. Yeah. And I feel like that's one of the big reasons we've been so successful. We brewed, I think, 256 unique beers last year.
Wow. Yeah.
And they all come back. It's not like it's a one-off and it's done.
Sure. You just rotate them back in.
They rotate them back in. So at the moment, we're on a 2 to 3 cycle of a beer a year.
Okay.
So
nice.
But the more we grow and the more new beers we create, it's probably going to become a little less. But
sure.
Yeah.
And again, like a place like ours, there's a handful of breweries that we carry all the time. You're one of them. So I get to see that rotation. It's great for our customers. It's great. We don't buy a ton of beer from any one brewery, right? But every week we buy a ton of beer, and we just have so many cans to rotate. So I'm super familiar with your brands. Like, people ask, like, how do you know? Is it because you know Andy? And I'm like, no, it's because we go through a shitload of original pattern beer, and I drink a lot of original pattern beer. So I'm very familiar with your brands, with the names. And yeah, I do see them come back. I guess when you say it now, that sounds right to me, like about 3 times a year. Yeah. I get some super dank or whatever, you know. So.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, to me, going through all those different beer brands and having to come up with a new label and a new SKU and a new, oh my God, like that.
Yeah.
Do you have somebody kind of dedicated to that project?
Not really.
No.
I look after it.
You're the chief namer of beers?
I work a lot of hours a week.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that is honestly, when people come to me at the brewery and they're like, we really want to make this beer. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So what are we going to name the beer?
That's hard.
What's the label going to be? Like,
they have great names too, Teresa. I asked one of your founders, I asked Max about this when I was at the brewery the other day, not knowing it was you. And I was kind of the same thing. I was like, yeah, where do you guys get all these names? And he's like, Andy, man. Andy just comes up with these things all the time.
We should sit and like brainstorm some names.
Yeah. I've got a whole list in my phone.
Oh, you do? Yeah.
But no, look, they can be tough. Being Australian, obviously we try and lean on the Australian thing a little bit.
Yeah.
One of the beers tonight that we'll be trying is How's the Serenity? It's from my favourite movie ever created, an Australian movie called The Castle.
Okay.
I highly recommend it. But if you're going to see it, you've got to see the Australian version, not the US version.
Yeah, I'll put the subtitles on. It's fine.
So, yeah. Well, they changed half of the things in it to like make it more for the American market.
I see.
But we've got multiple beers named from that movie. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have good names. But are you sort of constantly just, you could be doing anything at the grocery store, and you've got to add to that list if something.
Constantly. Driving, whatever it might be. I don't text while I'm driving.
Fair.
Or type while I'm driving.
Yeah.
But, it's just constant.
Okay.
So, and, Evan and Chris, my lead brewer, we're just constantly shooting the shit about it. It's like talking about beer, talking about new names, that sort of thing. So
love it.
And we usually come up with something fun.
So let's talk about my beer and then we're going to go back to talking about growth and things like that. But who wants to tell me all about the Session IPA that's in my glass?
Well, it's actually not in our glass. I have a lager in my glass.
Oh, you did? I thought I got you a Session.
That's fine. It's a great lager, whoever's lager it is. But
I did get this. She did pour the lager. You're not joking. I think I ordered. I said I need 6 beers. I think she gave us number 6.
Okay.
Is what happened on the tap.
Well,
list.
it's a great lager, whoever's lager
it is. Great.
So,
all right, my bad. Well, tell us about the beer that's not in my glass.
Okay. So yeah, look, the Session obviously is a collab with the Brewing Network. We were super stoked and honoured, to be honest. I've known you for a long time, and it was just a great concept. Kind of a homage to the show and the whole thing. So, we've had a lot of success with Session IPAs. We've won gold and silver the last 2 years at GABF with our Session IPA.
Nice.
And this was kind of a new concept that we came up with. I asked you about what sort of hops you wanted to put in it, and I think you said it was Jason that came up with the final.
Either Jason or Lewis. Yeah,
Okay.
Lewis has kind of been our hop guy around here lately. But what did we choose?
Mosaic Nectaron and Idaho 7.
Idaho, that's right. Yeah, that was a Jason thing. I think the Idaho 7.
Okay.
Yeah, which is a good call.
So we're real stoked on this beer. My lead brewer Chris, who unfortunately couldn't make it tonight, he tried it the day after packaging, and he's like, "God damn, this is better than the next chapter." Which is what we've won at GABF for the last 2 years. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So do you think you'll try this recipe at rebrew it around GABF time?
Well, we've got to go for 3 in a row with the next chapter, so that'll be our Session entry this year.
I see. That you'll try to do the same one to get 3 in a row.
Yeah, try and get 3 in a row with it.
And you said you got a gold and a silver over the last 2 years, or
we did. We got gold in 22 and silver in 23.
Okay.
So
what do you think makes a good Session IPA?
I don't know. It's kind of our whole approach to beer as it is, I came into the Bay Area brewing scene and had a different approach to what a lot of other breweries do in regards to what I think beer should be, and it sometimes doesn't necessarily fall into style guidelines for GABF and World Beer Cup and that sort of thing, but just a very light-bodied Pilsner base. We do use some two-row, but I know a lot of breweries out there are 100% two-row. We're kind of more 70-30 split two-row to Pilsner to two-row, but our Session IPAs are they're not 100% Pilsner, but it's Pilsner and about 10% wheat, and that's about it.
That's it. Just to keep it light.
Keep it light, dry, super drinkable. Like this one finished about 1% sugar, so but
you don't worry then about, because it's still an IPA, you don't worry about not having enough backbone for hops. You must have to hop differently so that it's not too bitter.
No, not really. Like we do, I'll be honest, we hop the absolute shit out of it, out of our beers. We really do.
Yeah.
And this beer here is basically hopped like a 7% West Coast IPA.
Wow.
We haven't deviated from what we usually do with other beers, and that's how we've been successful at GABF as well.
Okay.
So yeah, it's about £1 per barrel on the hot side and 3.5 pounds per barrel on the dry hop.
Okay.
For a 4.7% beer, and it's.
So I guess I just would have thought maybe you do use the same amount of hops, but it's just way more later or something, so that you're not getting as many IBUs.
No.
You just keep it the same.
Yeah, we do
out.
shoot for slightly lower IBU on these. So most of our West Coast are between like 70 and 85.
Okay.
And this is more like 65. So
and those IBUs are coming from late and boil. So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you say a pound per barrel in the kettle on the hot side, it's still very much late in the boil.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's all well whirlpool.
No 60-minute, no 30, no 10. You know.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, and I think this got a charge.
Did you say 60 minutes?
0, 60, 0.
No kidding.
Yeah,
This one had 0, did it?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So nothing at 60 on
That
this one.
surprises me there, right?
Yeah.
Like usually even there's like an honorary amount because it's still 60.
Yeah.
Oh, there's
So-
other stuff to do there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes we just got to keep those IBUs in check, and with how heavy we hop the whirlpool, it can be difficult to keep those IBUs lower based on the alpha acid of the particular hop. So,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Teresa, did you ask them for this beer by chance when you went out there?
I did, and it just blew. She had this much in a glass.
Oh, man.
I almost brought it in, but I was like, oh,
I think we have a second keg of it. So, hey, Andrew, can you go see if they'll put the Session IPA on tap if we have a second keg of it? Do we have 2 kegs of that?
We
We do,
2.
right? Yeah. Can you get that on and then ask them to pour us some of the beer? You got it. Sorry to bug you with that. Yeah, we got to have this beer.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, I'm trying to imagine it, but I really want to taste it.
It's a solid beer.
Yeah. So is it just the hop varieties that deviate from your medal winning beer?
It is. It's the same base recipe.
Okay.
With the 3 different hops. So our award-winning beer was Mosaic Citron Amarillo.
Nice. Okay.
So this is Mosaic Nectaron and Idaho 7.
And Idaho, so yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did love the beer. It was, I had a couple of go-tos on anniversary day, and this was one of them, and for 2 reasons. It's delicious, and anniversary day is a marathon for me. So I gotta, you gotta mix in some lower ABVs there, right?
Yeah.
Like I was here from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. and
Yeah.
I'm not saying I was sober when I left, but I was able to make it to leaving.
Right. You don't want to be found just asleep at the bar on your birthday, you know?
Yeah. So also, I think, and it's kind of why I was stoked to have this, there's not a lot of Session IPAs anymore.
No.
They had like a moment of fashion, right? Like when Firestone Walker had one that I really liked. I can't remember the name of it anymore, but anyway, it was wonderful, and they're like, yeah, this isn't selling anymore.
Yeah.
So they kind of like went out of favor, but you're doubling down on it. You don't mind.
Yeah, look, it's tough, and Virginia may be better off answering this question, but look, we brew it in our smallest tank, and which is a 20-barrel tank, so we basically brew 20 barrels at a time. After we won GABF Gold a couple of years ago, we brewed a 40 of it, and it hung around way too long.
Okay.
So it's not an easy sell.
Okay.
But it's like I was saying to the sales team on Friday in the meeting. It's like the best way to sell this beer is it's literally the only difference between this and a 7% IPA is less malt.
Okay.
It is hopped. It is just so aromatic, and
Yeah.
it's gorgeous.
So you can do a little health kick with it. You're like,
That's
hey,
right.
less calories, same hops.
Low carbs.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's what I would, like call it low carb session or something. But is it still true, Virginia, that almost anything with the acronym IPA on it is still going to sell, right? Or are they really that concerned about like the low ABV?
So, first of all, I was turning down people right and left today for this beer.
Wow.
We should have brewed a 40 barrel.
Amazing.
For sure.
Yeah.
That was a couple years ago that happened, and winter. But, in the
Sure.
summer, a 40 barrel of Session would go pretty nicely. I think the big problem with the lower ABVs, and we see it in lagers sometimes as well, although our lager program is my favorite. I actually came on loving IPAs, and your IPAs are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But the lager program is so good that now I'm so gone on our lagers.
Nice.
However, selling a low ABV beer in a can is tough. Selling a Session IPA in keg is no problem. I mean, those are gone immediately.
Okay, I see.
Cans, people, if people are going to go get a 4-pack and it's going to be an expensive 4-pack, they're probably going to go for a little bit of a heavier punch.
Sure. Such weird times we live in, because, especially in the world, but in the industry, yes, because we are seeing this kind of health conscious thing happening, right? So you'd think automatically, hey, I'm listening to you. Here's a lower alcohol beer.
Right.
But at the same time, and I think this is exactly like your point, if you're going to spend the money, then why not have more alcohol? Why not have almost double the alcohol if it's the same price?
Right.
But I don't know how people talk to themselves about those two contradicting things, because I just buy I guess I'm different. I'm just a beer nerd, right? So I buy the beer I like, and if I'm feeling like a Session IPA and I know it's great, you pay the money for that. I'm not buying drunkenness. I'm buying the beer that I like.
Right.
Well,
Drunkenness is a fun byproduct if it happens, but
I think for the word session is the issue. And I think it's kind of what happened to a lot of beer styles like Brut IPA. Like a crisp enzyme IPA is like actually quite delicious if you do it right. But a lot of people made session IPAs that were like hoppy, super thin, like hop with no backbone, just bitter and nothing else. And so it turned a lot of people off of session IPAs.
That makes sense. A bit of some failures.
Yeah, it's like if the average is not great, then you might just attribute that style as being problematic, but it's not really the case. If it's well made, it's going to be good, and that's probably, that's what is going to hold up your sales this beer, because they're like, well, original Pattern, of course they know how to make this kind of beer. Right.
Plus that really cool looking can.
For sure.
That's going to sell some Session IPAs right there. That's kind of contradictory too, right? Like, it's low alcohol and called a Session, but there's a hop grenade on it. Like, it kind of says the other. It's the perfect marketing, I think, for this contradiction I'm talking about.
It's a great can. It's going to fly off the shelves. Absolutely, no doubt, especially, because of the collab.
Yeah.
It's a really cool collab.
Love it. All right. Why don't we do this? We're going to take a quick break because I want to talk more about the other beers that you brew and the kind of crazy growth that you've had. And I want to get one of these beers in my glass, too. So we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to The Session right here on the Brewing Network, and we'll be right back.
You're the reason I'm going mad. You're mine, all of mine. You're mine, all of mine. Lock and key to hide away all the things you can't explain. That they ease the pain, that they keep you sane, that they ease the pain. Ain't over yet, over yet. It's an aim at your request. No foul play, no accidents, no foul play, no accidents, no accidents, no shooter's glance, no accidents. You're the reason I'm going to prison. You're the reason I'm going mad. You're mine, all of mine. You're mine, all of mine. And don't let 'em call you. Don't let 'em call you. Don't let 'em call you. Don't let 'em call you never again. Slightly sexy, a bit deranged. Slapped a bandit on the outbound Wollongong train. You're an unsolved mystery, constantly challenging me, but I wanna hear it all. You got to go in to get out. Can I sleep next to you? Can I serve your mind through? You're outlandish and perfectly cool. Hey Jack, where you been? There's no ice, but have another gin and get the car keys, pack 'em in. I know they're crazy, look at 'em shouting into the wind. I love the kind of crazy shouting into the wind. Can I sleep next to you? Can I serve your mind through? You're outlandish and perfectly cool. Stow your loose items. She is strengthened under the clouds, but she blossoms under the sun. In the waves near her house, drink it up while you can. Looking out for the perfect man. You're lovely and perfectly cool.
Welcome back to the session. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And hey, thanks to our sponsor, More Beer, who brings you this show and every show that we do. More Beer's been with us forever, almost 20 years, as I mentioned. Go to morebeer.com. Check out their brew-built line of jacketed conicals. They're so dope. You can be a professional brewer at home with their brew-built jacketed conicals. Or go check out their website for the deal of the day. Forget Amazon Prime Day. Although if you do, shop through the Brewing Network link. But go to the More Beer website, and they have a daily deal every single day, and it's cool stuff on there, too. Go to More Beer, morebeer.com, and check it out. All right, we're still here hanging out with the original Pattern crew, and we've got the correct beer in our glass, which always makes my job easier, and then and some other beers in our glass, too. But quickly, just wanted Teresa, at least, to taste through the Session IPA with us, and come on, tell me that this is not like a hit out of the park. Right?
Oh, it's beautiful. I just brought it up to my face, and it was like a big burst of juicy, good hops there.
And I feel like, just to go back to it again, just to harp on it for a second, if people didn't think about it or didn't know the ABV, they'd just be like, it's a damn good IPA. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
It's we psych ourselves out with this, the information that we are required by law to put on our cans and kegs. But it's just such a good beer. I think that hop combo is pretty darn good.
Oh, it came out great. Nectaron's a fairly new hop to us. Mm-hmm. And it's a very intense hop, and it combines really well with the Idaho 7. And I think I said this last time I was on the show too. For any home brewers out there, just put Mosaic in everything because it'll make it taste better.
It just does, right?
Oh, we just put Mosaic in almost everything.
So and I know that about you, and I know that about Liquid Gravity as a brewery that I really like that does the same thing. They're just, even when they write a recipe without it, on the day of the brew, he can't help himself. Yeah. He still ends up putting Mosaic in there. We added Mosaic to our Altamont collaboration, Grenade Juice, and they're also big fans. But they made a last-minute decision. They did a put in a pinch hitter and went for Simcoe. Okay, and I was like, okay, I can't be mad about Simcoe either. No, I mean it's Mosaic.
Simcoe's our favorite hop this year.
Well, isn't Mosaic a daughter of Simcoe or something like that? They're like lineages related.
They are. So.
All right. Well, this is just plain delicious. We've also got, and we can just pass that around now too, we've got one of your lagers. And I think this is a good time to talk about how much you guys have grown too, because we're going to talk about some of those growth numbers, but you're still a relatively small facility as a brewery, yet you love doing lagers. So let's come back to that question in a second, because I want to leave that kind of on the table by saying, I think when you started at Original Pattern, how many years ago?
So they opened in May of 2018, and I took over September of 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
And about how many barrels a year do you think they were putting out then?
So I think that first year we put out maybe just a few hundred.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe
probably under 500.
Probably under 500, maybe 600 at the most.
Okay.
So.
And in basically the same building you're in now.
Yeah.
How many do you think you'll do by the end of 24?
So last year we brewed 13,500.
Wow.
Okay. And the way things are going this year with Virginia and her team absolutely killing it, we'll probably be looking at about 18, I'd say, 16 to 18.
That's incredible.
And then we'll max out at 20. So we always joke that we make the most beer per square footage of any brewery in the country.
And it might not be a joke.
No, it's almost not a joke.
Yeah.
We recently took over the old independent brewing out the back of where the brewery is. So we've landed some more square footage now. But,
Okay.
Honestly, like we were doing 10,000 barrels in year 3 in just our space. Anyone that's been to our space has seen it's not a big space.
Yeah. You're crammed in there. That's for sure. And even your brew house is not that big. How many barrel is the brew house?
It's a 20.
It's a 20.
Well,
so
it's an oversized 15. We knock out 22 barrels each time. So
2 brews to fill your big fermenters, right? 2 turns.
4 turns.
4 turns.
Oh, 4 turns. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So all our fermenters are 60s and 80 barrel, 60 and 80 barrel fermenters.
Okay.
But they've obviously come along the journey.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's so much beer.
it is. So we do 3 to 4 turns every day.
Okay.
So
now we can go back to my question. We can talk about the beer in our glass. Like I'm just really surprised. I'm not surprised that you like lagers, Andy. I'm just surprised that you have time for them and space.
we just make it work.
Yeah. Okay.
Lagers are. I love lagers, especially our Czech Pilsner, which we're about to try. I went to brewery school in England, and I was over there doing a 4-month program. And in my 2 month, at the end of the 2 months, we had a week break, and I was poor. I was really, really poor.
Okay.
Travelling on the Australian dollar in the UK at about 48 pence to the Australian dollar. I was extremely poor. So I went to Prague where it was 80p for a Pilsner.
Yeah.
So I went there for a week and just drank Pilsner a week.
And fell in love with it.
Absolutely fell in love with it. Got talking to some brewers there, told them what I was doing at school. And I can honestly say, like, this is probably as traditional a Czech Pilsner that you could possibly make.
Okay.
So,
yeah. I love this beer.
Oh, I love it. It's one of my number ones. So
just a little bit of sweetness in there.
Just a little bit of breadiness from the Vienna, and it's pretty simple. It's just German Pilsner malt, German Vienna malt, and some Czech Saaz.
Just sauce?
Just 100% Czech Saaz.
Okay.
So
all the way through the boil, not like just late addition. You're back to traditional, right?
Oh, it's still?
It is. It's late edition.
Really, Evan?
Yeah.
Yep.
What beer do you put in a 60-minute hop?
West Coast.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Well, I mean, not a hop, but a 10.
Oh, like the new hop products,
Yeah,
basically.
so we use a lot of CO2 extract. Basically, all our bittering is done with Columbus CO2 extract. It's just so clean. There's no vegetal matter. So that's how most of our bittering is done.
But same with like that session in this beer, like you get that firm bitterness even though it's late. It's not a cold late whirlpool.
Okay.
It's still pretty hot.
It's still hot. Okay.
Yeah.
And that is kind of the difference. Like one of our collaborations with Russian River is called Cool Pool Pale because of this kind of new technique happening with a cooler hop addition in the whirlpool. So you're saying if you're still keeping it hot like that traditional whirlpool, you're pulling IBUs.
Yeah. I mean, just like you guessed, it probably had a 60 or something, but like it didn't.
Yeah. Okay.
So we haven't quite bought into the cold whirlpool thing, except for with obviously hazy IPAs to try and extract a little more of that juicy, lower IBU extraction.
Okay. How long in the tank for this beer?
This beer, so all our lagers are, as I said, I went to brewery school in England. My lecturer was a brewing god.
Nice.
And they're all very traditional. So it's it's more like 60 days.
60 days
60 days, yeah, on all the lagers. So
see, again, my question stands. I don't know how the hell you pull that off. That's just wild to me.
Yeah.
I think any of our growing brewers listening would say the same thing. Not that they don't want to do it, but that just sounds very difficult.
Yeah. Well, so up until the expansion next door into the old independent space, like I always had 2 bright tanks in the brewery.
Okay.
And those bright tanks were lagering tanks. That's all they were used for. Just for that.
Okay.
So, it's a 12, 13 day ferment on a lager, and then we put them in the bright tank and we just leave them there. So, so we've got the 660s and the 680s in the brewery now, and then next door in the old independent space, we've got 4 80 barrel brights and 2 60 barrel brights.
I see.
So,
you just make it work.
three of those, sometimes 4 of those are dedicated to lager.
Okay.
So.
And do you guys filter or fine?
Fine.
You fine everything.
Yeah, we fine everything. So nothing's filtered.
Okay.
So.
Is that just an equipment thing? Like, is this another thing to buy, or you just finding just does the job?
It's a combination for me. Like, I've had this, we won't say it's an argument, but I've had this discussion with many a brewer over the year, and I just truly believe that centrifuging or filtering beer just destroys it.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of breweries out there, I won't name any examples,
Sure.
who used to make amazing beer, and since starting to centrifuge, I believe their beer is significantly degraded.
What do you think the flavor difference is?
It's just oxygen pickup.
Oh, okay.
And just stripping,
Yeah,
you're
beating it up.
You're beating the hell
it up,
out of
yeah.
it while you're spinning it through that centrifuge. And again, there's so many breweries out there that I've had this discussion with that are like, "No, you're wrong," and I'm just like, "Okay, that's fine."
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
This is my opinion, and
Because what I would say when in my interviews and more so maybe even just touring breweries, I don't find many of them traditional filter anymore. It's either fining or centrifuge.
Yeah.
That
Centrifuge
middle
under
has sort of gone away.
Yep.
And I think most of them lately I talked to is fining. Centrifuge is such an investment too that it's like it's sort of a next level thing, right?
Yeah, I feel like if you can't invest to get the best and have the brewery that's really set up to make that kind of transition, like, I don't know, for a brewery our size, it would make absolutely no sense to filter or centrifuge.
And in all honesty, like with a brewery of our size, it makes sense. We could turn the beer in 4 or 5 days quicker, and our loss would be a lot less.
Okay.
But it just from a product standpoint, like I just truly believe that
Okay.
I just think centrifuges just destroy beer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, let's talk about the volume, Evan. You mentioned that you brewed our beer, but it just so happened because you were on the first shift that day, right?
Correct.
But a typical day now at Original Pattern to be at the size you guys are at is that 2 shifts and 4 turns? What does it look like?
Yeah. So we got a AM and a PM right now,
Okay.
and then a lead brewer kind of mid shift, overseeing everything, and getting the beer transferred over to the packaging side.
Okay.
Taking care of it over there. But yeah, 2 shifts, 2 different brewers.
Got it. And where did you come from? Have you brewed other places?
Brewed a couple places in the Central Valley. Come from the Central Valley. Made my way to beer from wine.
Okay.
Got my degree from Fresno State in enology. Worked 5 harvests in wine industry.
Okay.
Had a couple stints in beer, trying to make my way in the valley, and then got an opportunity up here and was listening to y'all's podcast
Nice.
in the lab and in the winemaking office.
Okay.
Trying to stay connected to beer, and then when I got the opportunity from Andy, just kind of jumped at it and moved up here. And
Okay. Andy's a stickler too. I was trying to go golfing with him for like a year, and he's like, I can't, I don't have a brewer, and I'm exaggerating a little bit, but not much. I was like, yeah, so hire a brewer, and he's like, well, it's not that I'm not trying, but he wasn't complaining like the rest of us business owners do. We're like, oh, there's nobody available. He was like, I have not found a person I want to make a brewer. Like, you're a picky guy about what happens in your brewery.
I am.
So good on you, Evan.
no, I've been lucky enough to be accepted by Andy.
Yeah. Evan is a badass. Like,
Okay.
there's no other two things to say about him. And Chris, who unfortunately couldn't make it, is also that Chris and Evan went to school together.
Yeah, so we actually met at
They
in the
both
wine
have wine
making program.
degrees.
Okay, nice.
And I brought them both up from Fresno. So
Got it.
yeah.
Did you start in wine because you liked it more? You thought it would be more lucrative? Like, why did you start there instead of beer?
It was just what I was introduced to first, I would say.
Okay.
Through wine. So I actually started college as a graphic design major.
Oh, right.
Just briefly go through this. Was shopping around for majors, almost close to graduation, joining the BFA. Had some friends that kind of failed on the other side of that. And made me nervous. Was shopping around.
Okay.
Wanted something more math and science based.
Okay.
Something I could find value in the education instead of just trying to relying on what I had.
Sure.
In like an art,
Yeah.
So ended up picking some grapes with one of my roommates. pressed them later that afternoon, went back the next day, did some labs on them, and it's kind of like, this is what you guys do? Okay. Like,
yeah.
You know, maybe I took a couple of classes, made sure I got through the chem portion of it first, and it was like, okay, if I can do the chem, I can probably do the physical labor.
Sure.
So started in that, and then made it on my way to fermentation class with William Whalen, awesome professor at Fresno State.
At Fresno?
At Fresno State.
Okay.
He made us make beer, I should say, and then so because it was a lot quicker turn, you can do a lot more fermentations during the semester.
Sure, yeah.
And then just kind of like your couple shots at wine. We made a red, a white, and a rosé, but we didn't see those products till 3 months, 4 months
like
later.
Semester's over.
Yeah, the semester's over. At the end, you're doing your kind of final review, and there's your wine that you made, and all of it was gross. But
that was your test?
Yeah. But all of it was gross, and you know the beers that we all made, we had some shots at, and they came out good. So and I just kept keeping up with that at home.
All right.
Worked at a few other harvests at other wineries, 1,000 case and then 100,000 case, and then all the way up to where we were crushing 300 million gallons of wine.
Wow.
And kind of again,
can I ask what winery that was?
O'Neill. It's a big bulk winery.
Okay.
There's some cool guys. Adam Pop, Jeremiah Lloyd. They'd be super stoked if I said their name on here.
Nice. There you go. All right. Yeah.
So big winery out there. Who actually want to give a shout out is to Shane Vetter at Toca Madera. It really took me under his wing. We made a lot of cool wines there. If you're ever passing through Central Valley on the 99, take an exit at Avenue 7 and visit Toca Madera. Great wines.
Toca Madera.
Okay. Great wines.
All right.
The Italian style. You got the hills back there. Own rooted vines. They don't even do that in California anymore. Everyone's worried about phylloxera. It's one of the few like own rooted vineyards. Super cool stuff. But,
nice.
But yeah. So it worked a few harvests and wine.
Do you think that is beer more labor, like physical labor than wine is?
Absolutely.
It is.
Yeah, winemakers might tell you different, but absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like harvest year round.
Because harvest is tough. I imagine that's a tough time, but that's once a year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
you have harvest every morning.
At that big bulk winery, there was like 6 months out of the year was harvest, and that's the longest harvest I ever had.
Okay.
But generally, it's like 3 months.
Okay.
And then you
coast the rest of the year?
Yeah, exactly. You know, you get holidays, you're eating Thanksgiving dinner, you're eating dinner, you know, celebrate Christmas, you get back there after New Year.
With Andy, you're lucky you even leave the brewery.
No, we're there every day.
Are we learning there's no Christmas at Original Pattern?
There is. I'm not that mean to people. Really not, but...
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Well, I'm happy for my friend Andy that he has you, because there were some times there that I'm like, man, Andy, you got to leave this building.
Yeah, he paid me the nicest compliment. I think he called me anal, and I take it as a compliment.
From Andy, it's definitely a compliment.
You called me the most anal person you ever met, and I really appreciated that and took that to heart. So,
it makes good beer, right? Like you got to pay attention to detail.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, look, finding great staff has not been easy. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
You know, year 2, we did 5,000 barrels, and I basically did that on my own.
Okay. Right.
I had someone part-time, and year 3, we did 10,000. Year 4, we were maxed out at 10,000, and...
was it the goal when you got hired, or was it sort of just a byproduct of making great beer, and you and Max said, let's just keep going for it?
Combination, I guess. You know, like when I first started there, we had 4 20-barrel tanks, and we literally we outgrew them like with the first 2 batches that I made.
Okay,
it was like,
wow.
we can't keep going like this, so we put in 2 80s, an 80-barrel bright, and a 40. And then 2 months later, we couldn't keep the beer on the shelf, so we outgrew that. We put in another 5 80s.
Did anything else? I don't know how to ask this and get a real answer out of you, but I'm going to try.
Okay.
Did anything change other than the brewer, you? In other words, hired a brewer like you, I'm sure you immediately went in and changed the beers that were coming out of there. Yep. Was there also like a sales team change too, or was it really beer driven that made that growth happen immediately?
So when I started there, it was literally Max hired me, the owner Max Silverstein hired me, and I was still working at Wildcard at the time.
Yeah,
so I was
okay.
I was commuting to Reading to help out Jenny and Jeff, and I was doing 4 days up there, 4 12-hour days up there, and then I'd come back and work at Original Pattern on the weekends.
Okay.
So when I first started, it was Max part-time. He was still in his CFO job in the tech industry, and 2 bartenders. And I literally walked in on my first day, and Max just goes, "Here's a brewery. Figure it out." No, I'm not joking. It's like, here's
That
a brewery.
sounds like Max.
It's
Yeah.
yours.
Right.
Just figure it out.
Okay.
So, as I said, so it was myself, Max, and 2 bartenders.
Yeah.
And I think
that was the whole company
That
yourself.
was the whole company. And
Okay.
what are we at now, Virginia? I think we're at
Oh.
36, 30.
I thought we hit 40.
Oh, we've
Wow.
hit 40. So we've got
Yeah.
40 employees now.
But I guess what I'm asking, that first of all, that is a good answer. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. But how did the word get out? Because, like, I know you make good beer, but I had to go find it, right? So
Yep.
you're saying that, like, you sold these tanks almost immediately. I'm just sort of asking how. Did you have a name for yourself already? Like, who told the world you make great beer?
Yeah, no, not really. It was, I'll be honest, it was tough the first couple of years.
Okay.
It was tough, but, look, I think the January after I started in year one, I think we brought on Virginia. So Virginia's been there since nearly the start.
Okay, yeah.
We had an amazing sales manager at the time too, Tim, who's now at Altamont Beer Works.
Okay, yeah.
Between him and Virginia, they really built the core of this company. And,
Got it,
and
okay.
Virginia and Jenny, who are now co-head of sales, they've really just brought on an amazing team. Everyone's just so stoked to be there. Everyone's
Nice,
just so
yeah.
enthusiastic. It's like, it's an amazing place to work. It's got such a great culture. We all have a common goal, and that's just not from the brewing side. It's just from sales, from the tasting room, everything. It's just like, we just want to make the best product we possibly can and get it out there and just
Sure.
enjoy what we're doing. So
Okay.
yeah.
And is it, Virginia, I mean, I see you guys in chains now, too, for non-industry listeners. I'm talking about Safeway and stuff like that. Is that...
Not in Safeway yet.
You're not? Okay.
No.
You're in my local Lunardi's, which I
Yeah.
love. It's a great store with a great beer selection. You guys are always there.
I landed that account.
You did?
I landed it 2 weeks into the shutdown.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
During the pandemic.
Okay.
And I mean, getting shelf space when the world shut down, it was
Yeah.
we immediately just went right over to cans, and
Like everyone,
and that was my job, was finding places for all the cans.
Okay. And so would you say, I mean, you don't got to give me all the numbers, but, do big accounts like chains, is that something like half of your can sales, or are you still really just so many small places like mine that are really doing it?
It's a combination for
Okay,
sure.
yeah.
And every single account means a whole lot to us. I just have to scoot back and talk about the growth,
Yeah.
because when I got hired on that January, anything I sold, I had to deliver in the back of my car. And so getting to be a part of the growth of such an amazing spot has just been the thrill of a lifetime for me.
I bet. Because, I mean, any kind of, and like when you're saying there's a cool team and a good culture, anytime you feel that success as a team, as a family, right? So it's kind of a bigger win than whatever corporate job you might have had in your life. I don't know what,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could never do corporate.
Yeah.
I was a social worker and a stay-at-home
Okay.
mom, and now this.
Yeah.
So,
Working with a bunch of brewers, by the way, you're still a social worker, just so you know.
And to be a mom.
Especially working with Andy, you're definitely still a social worker. Yeah.
he's so great. But and just to speak about culture really quickly, I really, really focus when I hire people on culture. I want people who, first of all, I always hire for enthusiasm. If people are excited about the opportunity of getting to work for us, they're excited about our brand in particular, that's a really good leg up. And, our sales team, we doubled our sales team last year.
Okay.
And
My guy Drew is on your sales team.
yes,
right?
he is.
Drew,
Are we going to call him in?
I do want to call him in. He worked here at the Hop Grenade.
Right.
I met him when he worked at Sierra Nevada. I don't like telling him this, but he's one of my favorite humans. Well,
that's what Andy told me when he applied for the job. Andy pulled me aside and said, hire this one.
Seriously.
So I met Drew. My beautiful wife out there bought me a personal tour of Sierra Nevada for my 33rd birthday or something like that. And Drew was my tour guide.
Drew's entering the building now, I think. Yeah, come on in. Come in here, Drew. You're going to have to sit on the couch for a second, but come in here.
So I've known Drew for a long time, albeit not that well. But, when they were hiring for this job and Drew was working the tasting room, I was his biggest advocate. I was like, you need to hire this guy. This guy's hungry. He wants this.
Oh, totally.
And he's killing it.
The hardest part about having Drew here is we didn't have anywhere for him to go. And it was painfully obvious that he wants to do something more in beer, right? Yeah. But he was so damn good as a server and a bartender that I just was like, I'm going to keep him as long as I can anyway. I'm just going to keep him as long as I can. And it was the pandemic time, so breweries didn't know what the hell they were doing, right? So we had him during the weird times. And then he was just fantastic. We didn't like to tell him that. But it was like, it got to the point where it was almost a crime for him to stay at a job like this, being a bartender, right? Yeah. As probably you felt when he was a bartender for you. You guys probably saw pretty quickly, like, the guy just likes beer so much that, I don't know, Drew, I feel like you could sell almost anything, but you're particularly good at selling beer. I promise this is the last time I ever compliment you.
Thank you for that. I do love beer so much. Thank you for the kind words, Justin.
You have your own territory of sales at Original Pattern?
I'm just straight up Oakland, Alameda.
Just Oakland, Alameda. Okay.
If you know anyone that owns a restaurant or
Drew at Original Pattern.
Drew at originalpatternbeer.com.
There you go.
We got you.
Yeah. All right. Virginia, how's his sales numbers? Is he good?
Amazing. Drew's amazing.
Is he good? Okay. I can see that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he just has that personality.
I mean, really, you're like the combination of everything that we look for in a salesperson. Mm-hmm. Super easy to get along with, funny. He's someone I look forward to seeing and talking to, and that translates to relationships.
Totally.
And
he's a great dresser. He has impeccable style.
He knows more about beer than I do, for sure.
Hands down, and like the most impeccable style on the entire Original Pattern payroll. 100%.
I don't think I've been at an event where Drew hasn't offered me one of his pieces of jewelry to wear for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
I got the pinky ring right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
He's giving you jewelry right now.
That's what I'm saying. It happens every time.
Amazing.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think everything just sends it home. Like, I've had a great experience at Original Pattern. I remember being in the tasting room one time and like really gassing up Andy's beer. Like, there's a West Coast IPA on tap, and I was like, dude, this is better than Ghost Towns. This is better than Factions. Like,
wow.
like West Coast IPA.
Here he goes.
Andy pulled me aside. He's like, hey, man, like, he's like, dude, like, he's like, I appreciate you love the beer, but he's like, don't say that shit.
Tone it down. You gotta tone it down a little bit.
He's like, I just like to say, like, we try very hard, like in every like aspect. We try to make the cleanest beer, like that we can do.
Yeah.
Like,
I hear you guys are a very competitive sales team. I think it was Max I was talking to you that you guys are like on a minute-to-minute basis checking everyone else's numbers and trying to be top dog over there.
Drew told me on Saturday, he's like, I beat Lewis by $11.
I beat Jeremy by
Sorry, $11. Jeremy. You beat Jeremy by $11.
Shout out Jeremy. He's in the lobby right now.
Here, I forgot to put the camera on you.
I know.
The fans want to know who Drew is. This is handsome Drew. That's what we call him when he's not looking.
What's going on? No, it is very competitive and it's fun. Like, I mean, like I love beer like to the core of like my existence, and I just like feel so grateful to have this great opportunity.
Yeah.
Working for Original Pattern and like working for you and like Kevin and
Well, thank you.
Working for Sierra Nevada before that,
right.
It's just been an incredible ride. So,
well, we're happy for you, Drew, here at the Hop Grenade. We knew that you were a short timer. You had bigger things on your horizon. But I will say this: I'm also glad you found a company like Original Pattern and didn't just stay on at Sierra Nevada. I know that there were a lot of factors involved there, but I just think that you're, I don't know, at this point in your life, this is the right brewery for you. You're a small brewer type of person, not a corporate brewery type of person. Does that make sense? I think you would have thrived at Sierra. Don't get me wrong. I just think this is a better fit for you. That's all.
And a quick little backstory, I'll keep it short. When I was a tour guide at Sierra Nevada, Andy was at Wild Card.
Yeah.
Redding, California.
Right.
You know? So him and Emily came and took a tour. They had all these sorts of different tours at Sierra Nevada, the entry level, the beer geek tour and stuff. It was there's this one upper echelon tour level.
The extra tour. Yeah.
The VIP. You gotta email someone. Emily emailed the higher echelon.
Nice.
And Andy and Emily came through and gave me a bunch of koozies and T-shirts and hats and stuff like that. And that's the first time I met Andy.
That's how you got to know Andy then. Okay. Yeah.
And then 2 years apart.
Did you just apply randomly? You just remembered when you saw his application? Oh, that's the guy from Sierra Nevada?
So I used to see, Drew used to come when he was still working at the Torpedo Room, when it was still a thing. He was managing it. He used to just come in and drink beer, and I'd be like, I swear that's Drew.
Okay, yeah.
And then one day we just got to talking, and it turns out it was him, and then we hired him for the tasting room, and then he told me how hungry he was for sales, and it was like,
all right.
I said to Virginia and Jenny, I was like, Jenny, our other co-sales director, I was like, you guys have got to hire this guy.
Yeah.
And I think I was right.
Oh, absolutely. And the friendly competition is huge. I mean,
I love that.
We are a really, really high performing, driven sales team, and extremely competitive. Mm-hmm. But
that's healthy.
The amount of, the warmth that everyone feels for each other, the support we give each other, there's texts going around, numerous times a day, asking questions, clarifying, throwing leads to each other. We have each other's back.
Yeah.
And the culture within the sales team was something that I worked really, really, Jenny and I both worked really hard to develop this year, and we're seeing it pay off.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right, Drew, get out of my studio.
Yep. All right. I got one last note right now. I want to do a big shout out to Justin Crosley.
Thanks, brother.
Owner of the Hop Grenade.
Appreciate
the
that.
Session, and shout out to Scary Gary in the studio too. You guys can't see him, but he's over there doing admin.
Yeah. Our back of house manager, Andrew Scary Gary, a.k.a. Thunderdome.
Shout out to Andy. Shout out to Evan.
Hey, thanks for showing up for my 10-year anniversary party, too. That was good to see you, Drew.
Yeah, it was great to see you guys, too. All right, guys.
Later.
Peace out.
Get out.
Thank you, brother.
Drink some good beer. Get after it.
All right, before we take a break, let's talk about the pale ale that's in our glass, too.
Yes.
Andy, what's this beer?
So this one is called How's the Serenity. I think I mentioned before. It's from one of my favourite Australian movies, which you all should see, The Castle. So it's look, I'll be honest. Most of our beers are never exactly the same. Do you mean
even when you brew them again?
When we brew them again.
Okay.
So I have this photographic memory of what a beer tasted like, and basically this is what I tell my sales team every day, that beer, I want the beer to evolve every time. I want it to be better. So we're constantly, every day, we're just trying, what can we do to make this better? Mm-hmm. So I think this is maybe the third or fourth round of this one, and as I said, it gets slightly tweaked every time, not to the common drinker out there, no one's going to notice it, but I notice it, and my brew team definitely notice it. So this has got three of my favourite hops in it. Mosaic, obviously, Enigma, which is a very polarising hop for a lot of people, but is literally one of the best hops on the market, Australian Enigma.
Okay. And
the latest Australian edition, which is Eclipse, which I get a lot of brewers reaching out to me about feedback of it because they see how much of it we use.
Describe it to me. What do you think defines Eclipse?
It is very unique. It is super, super citrusy.
Okay.
Very almost like Mandarin, like rind.
Oh, right. Okay. So a little bitterness there.
A little bitterness.
Yeah.
You've got to use it sparingly. The first time we used it, we went all in on it, and we went about 80% Eclipse in a pale ale, and it was like, holy shit. I think we overdid it.
Okay.
So yeah, we're back down at around 25%. So this is about 50% Mosaic, 25% Enigma, 25% Eclipse. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And how would you define Enigma too? I agree with you, by the way, that it's polarizing.
So I was talking about this with my new brewer Shay the other day, and my lead brewer Chris, and they were like, describe Enigma to me, and I said it's Enigma.
It's an enigma.
No, it's Enigma.
Yeah.
I don't. You ask me about any hop, I can give you flavors.
Okay.
Enigma it just tastes like Enigma.
Interesting.
It is just the most unique flavor, aroma, taste. It's just
Okay. Could you do a single hop beer with Enigma, or is it too weird?
I think I'd like it.
Okay.
I think I don't think a lot of others would.
Interesting.
So it is just the most intense hop. Like, who was the collab we did with recently that had the Rip collab with Danny from Rip?
and just overshadowed a little.
It was like
bit.
literally 20% Enigma.
Not even a full box in the whole dry hop.
20% Enigma in a 300-pound dry hop,
And it took over.
and it was just boom.
Wow.
Like, it is just so intense.
To me, it kind of reminds me of like what Strata does. It kind of just gives you that generic hop flavor.
Okay.
Like.
Because Strata's another one that people love or hate too.
Yeah, exactly. And it's in the same ballpark for me. Enigma is more like red berry to me.
Okay.
It has like kind of more of a pleasant character than I would say Strata does. Like Strata, like whenever I have a beer with Strata in it, it tastes like new school. Like I absolutely know this is a new school hop, but like I'm like, what is this? What is this? What is this? And, and you get to the board and you're like, oh, it's Strata. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely get the citrus in it. This is a great pale ale.
Definitely citrus.
I also get pine. I don't
yeah.
Is that I don't know which hop that's from, but it's definitely piney.
Yeah,
I feel like
the pininess definitely comes from the Enigma as well.
Yeah.
It's very piney and
Resiny,
intense resin, just straight resin. But
like almost like a bat tar, like.
Yeah.
So if you guys looked on the flavor map, it's like a splat. It's like going
The
out in
whole
every
thing.
direction, huh?
I don't know. They try and give you direction of what it is, and I just don't really agree with any of it. It's I don't really like. It's like Evan said. You get a little bit of like kind of red currant, red berry from it, but it's like whatever else it tastes like. I don't really know. I just like. I just know I like the taste.
Yeah, no, it's hop flavor. It's like kind of like I said, like you know it's hop. You know it's Australian hop. You're like, what is this?
Sure.
I feel like.
But nothing to then just put your finger on.
Exactly, and then you see it on the board, and you're like, oh yeah, okay.
You're like, that's what I tasted.
Yeah, it's Enigma. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. I like your relation to Strata too. That makes sense to me. I feel like.
Well, do you guys feel like 3 is a magic number? I noticed on like a lot of your beers,
it really depends for me.
I mean, 3 plus maybe, like not to rely too heavily on one thing.
It really depends. A lot of our pales are only 2.
Okay.
Most of our West Coasts are 3 to 4, but we do have a lot of 2. Like we're brewing West Coast tomorrow, Zero Distortion, which is super Simcoe heavy and a little bit of New Zealand Materi.
Yep.
So yeah, it just varies. It's just what I feel like on the day, I guess.
Yeah.
Nice.
I do
When you
feel-
open the fridge,
Gives you more options.
what do you have a lot of?
Yeah,
No, I've never done
sometimes,
that.
yeah.
I do feel like we keep it simpler than other breweries with our
We
hop
do,
bill.
and one thing with our beer as well is that there's usually always a focal hop. So whatever the first hop listed on our can is the dominant hop.
That's a good pro tip right here.
And it's
Absolutely.
always, we don't do a lot of like even splits or 2 pounds of this, 4 pounds of that, whatever. It's like generally, there's at least 50% of the whirlpool is the first hop.
Okay.
Generally.
Yeah.
Not always. So
All right.
yeah.
It's a good pro tip.
Yeah.
I read a lot of your cans, so now I know.
Yeah.
I can tell people. All right, let's do this. Let's take another quick break because we're going to run out of time, but we've got more beer to try.
Okay.
And we've got a little bit more to talk about, too.
All right.
So you're listening to Original Pattern on the Session. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
We're driving cars on a Mars tonight. We're blasting off to the stars tonight. We wanna go, go. We wanna go, go. We're driving cars on a Mars tonight. We're blasting off to the stars tonight. We wanna go, go. We wanna go, go.
Welcome back to the session. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. And we are still with Original Pattern in my studio having fun. Thank you guys again for being here.
No, thank you.
And like you said, like we've said, it's been a long time coming. It's been a while. Honestly, I had forgotten that I didn't. I thought I had you on as Original Pattern years ago too, but I just realized now that's amazing. So it's good to finally have you in here. Get to talk about the beer. Get to drink the beer. You brought out a good crew. So shout out to all the Original Pattern people who came out to the Hop Grenade for support. It's
Indeed.
very nice of
my
everybody.
whole packaging team's out there.
Amazing.
My packaging manager. So after we
Deal
won,
Master Dennis.
that's right.
Nice.
So,
Deal Master.
so after we won gold at GABF a couple of years ago, which we honestly thought we'd never do, was win a gold medal at GABF.
Okay.
We labelled Dennis the DO Master because he puts the beer in the can, and I think at that
Low
stage,
dissolved oxygen.
yeah. So I think at that stage with GABF, it's got a little better now, but I think it was like 9 to 10 or 11 weeks before they judged the beer.
Okay. Wow.
So yeah.
So it had to. So that it was really important that it was low DO.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
DO
So
competition, basically, at that point,
right.
for hoppy
yeah.
categories.
So they've got a
Interesting.
little better about it these days, but yeah, Dennis is definitely the DO master.
Well, I got to see your canning line the other day when we went for our collaboration brew meetup.
Yes.
So you guys have expanded that. I remember when the canning line unfolded into the brewery hallway.
Oh, yeah.
And had to be done right there.
Yeah.
You
We
folded
used-
up and moved it into another building now.
Well, yes, but we actually got to the point where it became too inconvenient to move and level every time. So
Understood.
it just constantly lived in front of 280 barrel uni tanks, and we would literally just dry hop with like 7 to 9 boxes of hops over the top of this thing on a tiny little like stock picking lift.
Okay. Yeah.
Filtering running hoses under the canning line.
Oh, no.
Trying to
This
feed
is
those in.
wild.
They didn't show you that shit when you accepted the job, did they, Evan?
Yeah,
that was like
they
day
did not
7.
take one, nothing in front of it. You know.
Yeah.
I think our maddest day was we were packaging 80 barrels, brewing 60 barrels, and I was filling bourbon barrels, and there literally wasn't a square foot of space anywhere.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Fun
I saw
times.
it now. You guys, I mean, you guys are still, I don't even think the word is crammed in there. You're still pieced in there perfectly.
Yeah.
But you do have more space, and I was kind of happy to see that canning line moving and working, and it was a very different scene.
It's been a game changer having next door and the process piping to the other side, and
Nice.
just freeing up a little bit of space for the brewers not to go mad.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of games changing, I have to ask you. You need to address something for me.
Yes. I figured this was coming.
Well, you're one of my favorite brewers, and but not just that. You're possibly even more popular than you are. So people talk.
Yes.
And there are rumors that your position might be evolving or changing, or I don't know what, at Original Pattern. My fear is that I won't get to hang out with you anymore. Can you describe to me what might be changing at Original Pattern, or do you not want to talk about it?
No, that's fine. We can talk about it.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty out there now. At least most of the commercial breweries know, and I'm sure most of our accounts know by now too. My wife, my beautiful wife who's sitting out there, is such a badass.
Emily's a wonderful human.
I think she's been promoted 6 times in 6 years at Adobe.
Okay, wow.
And they basically have asked her to come and take over a new role, a strategic role, for the whole of Australasia.
Wow. Coincidentally in Australia?
In my home city of Melbourne.
That's crazy.
So it wasn't an easy decision. We thought about it a lot, but I am moving back to Australia. But
okay.
Chris, my lead brewer, is going to take over as head brewer, and Max and Virginia and Jenny and everyone, we kind of made the decision as a group that I am going to stay on. I'm going to stay on as the director of brewing.
Okay, as you are now, the director of brewing. Yeah.
At the moment, I'm a bit of everything. At the moment, I'm head brewer, maintenance manager, production manager. I'm exterminator.
Okay, so this is a promotion.
Yes, it is a promotion.
Yeah.
So I'll be stepping back from the day-to-day, but at the same time, I'll still be doing a lot of the scheduling. I'll be on call. I'm sure I'll be getting a lot of calls at 2 a.m. Australia time.
Right. So you're still full-time then director of brewing operations at Original Pattern.
Yeah, and I'll be coming over. I'll be over here for basically 25% of the year.
Okay.
So 3 to 4 weeks a quarter. Mm-hmm. Coming over to do the big things like hop selection, all that sort of stuff. Barrel beers, all of that, and just as general support for these guys. And
sure. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm a little sad that you'll be here less, but let's be honest, I barely see you anyway. You're so busy.
Yeah.
I might see you more.
Yeah, you may. You probably will, to be honest.
Because you still got to come back, obviously, and you're going to want to see your friends when you come back, or maybe I'll just go see you there.
Indeed.
Come on.
Indeed.
You can take me golfing in Melbourne.
And I just have so much faith in in Evan and Chris to run this brewery. Chris has brewed, honestly, Chris has been there for, I think he's coming up on 3 years pretty soon.
Yeah.
I think we're on about batch 2200 at the moment, and I'm pretty sure Chris has brewed like 75% of those batches of beer between him and Evan. We've got full faith everything's going to remain exactly as it is. People, as I said before, we just strive every day. Just what can we do to make things better?
Right.
And with that attitude, and when you have such great people with that attitude, it's like, we're gonna make this work, and it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
So,
I think you're the right person to do this. I think you're gonna handle this perfectly well. I only have one worry for you, and you guys know this too. How are you gonna taste the beer enough? And I know you're going to plan something, which I'd like to know the plans. But by enough, I mean, I know you're tasting the beer every single day right now.
Yes,
because it's how you are. You're just I got to know what's happening.
That was part of my contract negotiation with Max, that they're going to ship very expensive beer. It
has to happen, right?
To Australia, yes. So,
and it's got to ship cold. And
that's
it's got
right. That's exactly right.
Because you don't want to be calling them about problems that don't really exist over here, right? Evan's going to be like, bro, the beer's fine. We kept it cold.
Yeah.
But that is going to be a unique challenge, I think.
It will.
Right? Yeah,
it will. Yeah. But look, as I say, I have full faith in these guys.
Sure.
These guys are so badass at what they do,
and it's not going to be full remote. This guy will be back.
That's right. We've joked about getting like a little Mars rover.
Yeah,
sticking they can go over hoses and stuff on the ground, and we'll just stick an iPad on there, and I'll just log in every day.
And you can actually drive it around.
That's right. I'll just drive it around. So.
Oh my God, Andy's literally always here still.
That's right.
He's there when I close my eyes. I can't do something at work without hearing him yell at me. So I think it's gonna work out all right.
Totally.
We've really Original Pattern is one of those companies that's super different. We do things differently than most breweries, and I think that's part of our success is that we have been able to pivot. Every time we get a curveball thrown at us, we pivot, we think about it, we do something that normally we wouldn't do. You know, we are not losing Andy. We literally just promoted him, and he's going to firmly be at the helm still.
Right.
Is it the helm
I love it.
of a ship?
The
Or
helm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the helm, yeah.
Or the,
That sounds good. Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, I like it.
But we are very different in that when we find someone of value, we work really hard to keep them.
Okay.
And that's exactly what we did with Andy. There's no way we're gonna lose you. No
Well,
way.
I'm glad I got the proper explanation because I was a little worried. I love the beer so much, and as you said, your team is great. So you know, I still was confident the beer was going to be fine, but I'm more confident and I just feel comfortable knowing that you're still at the helm. So that's wonderful. On top of all that, congratulations to you and Emily. I think that what a great thing that she has done. What a strange coincidence that it's back in your hometown.
I know.
And I wish you both like all that success too, just on her side of the career path too, right? So
Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be a big change, you know.
Yeah. Are you excited to kind of live among your bros again though? Your friends? I guess your mates. Am I supposed to?
Yeah, my mates.
There we go. Yeah,
my mates.
Yeah.
No, I am. I'm super excited. You know, like my dad's in his early 80s now, so it'll be good to go and spend some more time with him. And
absolutely,
you know, still be coming over, you know, once a quarter and being here for a month or so and being involved. You know, this brewery means everything to me. You know, I've built this place with my own two hands and with a lot of help of other people. You know, with Virginia, Evan, Max, everyone. You know, it's it means the world to me.
Well, then what a great opportunity. I mean, you just kind of literally get best of both worlds.
Yeah.
You get a little hometown action. I think you're going to miss us out here in the Bay, but I think you're going to get to enjoy your friends and family again for a while. It's the best of both worlds, man.
That's right.
What a blessing.
You know, nothing's forever.
Yeah.
You know, for all we know, I'd give it another year, Emily will get promoted again and we'll be back. So, you know.
It does sound like she's the overachiever in the family.
She is. She pays the bills, that's for sure. So.
All right. Well, because we don't have a ton of time left, let's talk about the couple of beers that are in our glass. I want to make sure that we do that. And the first one's a collaboration that you did, I think, with Fort George.
Yes.
Where are they out of?
Out of Astoria.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, up in Oregon.
We started to get their beer down here, too, here at the Hop Grenade recently. So they must have gotten a distro or something.
Yeah. They're a great brewery. Mike, the head brewer there, is just one of the most wonderful people you'll ever meet. Nice. Matt, who runs his R&D department, is literally one of the most lovely people we'll ever meet. And it was just such a strange thing. Like, we were literally just at this is the second collab we've done with them. The first one was called Tropics of the Dank. This one's called Nectar of the Dank.
Nice. Okay.
And I was literally sitting at the brewery one day, maybe 18 months ago, and the whole crew just walked in out of nowhere and asked if I was around and got talking to them, and I was like, how did you guys even hear about us, you know? And he's like, we've just heard so many great things about this brewery, and now we're super close mates, you
nice.
know? It's just, they're just such wonderful people. The whole organisation up there is just great. So
tell us about the beer. It's dry and dank.
It's dry and danky.
I mean, you could have just called it dry and dank.
Dry and dank.
It's fantastic.
It's Simcoe Heavy, Simcoe Cryo, Simcoe T90 in the Whirlpool.
Okay.
Evan, correct me if I'm wrong, little Nectaron in the Whirlpool, or is it 586 in the Whirlpool?
I got you right here, buddy.
He's looking it up on the sheet. By the way, while he's looking...
half a bag of Nectaron per turn. And
Nectaron too. Okay.
Nectaron and HBC 586, everyone's favourite hop at the moment. So,
love it. It's in our faction collab, of course. They're kind of the kings of 586 now.
Roger loves his 586.
So he did a pale lager for us that's got some 586.
His international version of 586.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's nice. It's nice. I love this beer. This is a really good IPA.
Yeah. It came out really good. We're really stoked on it. We sent some up to Fort George to try, and it just so happened the day we arrived, Mike, the head brewer, was going out on vacation for 10 days, and I was like, you better make sure this gets stashed somewhere
Yeah.
And then I texted him the next day. I'm like, hey, it's arrived.
Yeah, he's like, it's gone already.
No, he's like, I've already got people texting me. Like,
Okay,
I
yeah.
want this beer.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know whether, well, we obviously don't have the label here, but the label is just gorgeous.
Okay.
It
Nice.
is such a beautiful label. It's hummingbirds and
Oh,
it's
cool.
just gorgeous. So
Yeah. You like this one, Teresa?
I really do. Yeah.
Good IPA.
Yeah, I love that. Honestly, Nectaron is really one of my favorite hops right now.
yeah.
It's like a little melon. It's not just dank. I'm getting kind of like stone
rotten
fruit melon.
peaches.
Yeah.
Like overripe peaches is what I get for sure.
Yeah.
From Nectaron. We've been using a lot, especially in the collabs, and like just like rotten peaches in the best way. You know.
Yep.
If you watched Holes, you know Sploosh. You know. Nectaron's what I imagine Sploosh is. You know.
One of our beer, Wondrous at Firestone Walker Invitational, when we were drunk, we had decided to call our anniversary beer from them Sploosh. When we sobered up the following week and I followed up on that beer, he's like, yeah, we're not calling it Sploosh. We just can't do it.
You mentioned dry and dank, and I just want to say really quickly, a large majority of our beer finishes dry, and it makes it a beautiful beer to pair with food. Because of that, it makes it easy to have a second one.
Yeah. I agree with that.
That dry finish is just really key, I think.
I think you're right. And it is across the board, like, so
Intentional.
it's part of why your lagers are so good as well.
Let's talk lagers.
So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think, part of your signature.
Yeah.
And why I like them, too. You know, I got off of IPAs for years. I think I've told you this. It wasn't until 2020 when I came back to work here at the Hop Grenade myself, just slinging cans out the door the best we could, that I got back into hops. And the only reason I got back into hops, I've said this on the show so many times, is Altamont, Ghost Town, and Original Pattern. Like, it was your IPAs with that dryness. I can drink another one. They were interesting again. It wasn't just like an IBU thing.
Yeah.
It really kind of helped change my palate again. And I'm thankful because now I'm back to like lagers and IPAs, So I do think you're right. It's a signature that kind of brought me back to the style.
Yep.
So, yeah. All right. And we got one more to try, too.
We do.
What's this one?
So this is Bean Me Up, our smoked coffee porter. So
Okay.
this is the first beer I ever brewed in brewery school.
Oh, really?
So my
Like your recipe?
my recipe.
Yeah, okay.
So the program I did was, a lot of the programs over here are very lab focused, and it's not that my program wasn't lab focused, but we actually got to brew 12 of our own beers during school.
Okay, yeah.
So this is the very first beer I ever brewed at brewery school. Now, it's definitely been tweaked a little since then.
Okay.
But it's basically the same beer as what we brewed, and
This is fantastic.
oh, it's just gorgeous. It really is.
As soon as you put the word smoke in a beer, I start to flinch a little bit. Not my favorite thing. But this, I'm going to say a thing that only, and I don't smoke anymore, but only smokers will understand. This is like the first cigarette of the day. That's how good this beer is.
When I dumped this beer, I call it my dad's coffee farts. It smells like when he drove me to school smoking a cigarette and farting coffee. So.
Which to him was wonderful. That's what I'm saying. I just gave you it doesn't sound like it, but this is a compliment. This is, back in the day, this is the first cigarette of the day. Which means, what I'm saying is it's really not overly smoky at all.
No,
it has
it's
all
not.
of these other characteristics, including tobacco.
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting a little bit of that just make it super delicate and
Yeah.
wonderful.
It's funny you'd say about the smoke, actually. We just, this particular batch, we haven't brewed this beer. We've been struggling to keep up so much with production. It's just so hectic the whole time. Just
Sure.
trying to stay afloat, I guess, and keep beer on the shelf for sales to sell and that sort of thing. So we haven't brewed this beer in probably almost a year.
Okay.
And I was like, it's been long enough. I've never tweaked this beer. I was talking before about how we've tweaked beer. We tweak beers, and I've never tweaked this beer. I've always been so happy about it, and it's been so long. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to tweak this a little. So we added a little more smoke to
You
it
did?
this
Okay.
time.
Yeah.
Just a tiny bit, maybe another 1.5%. So
Okay. And
not
that's
a
the
lot.
malt, right? It's just a
smoked malt.
Yep.
Yeah. So German like beechwood smoked malt.
Okay.
So it's more of like a smoked base malt that you're adding to a porter recipe? Is that right, or is it a caramel malt that's smoked?
No, it's just like best malts,
Yeah.
beechwood smoked malt.
Okay.
So Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be why it's not offensive to me too, because it's not peat.
Yeah.
I don't like the peat smoke stuff
the peat,
at all.
Yeah, that's-
the peat's a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's
You pick up
really
the
nice.
smoke, right, Teresa?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
For
yeah.
sure. But I mean that sometimes coffee can give you that phenolic character. It's like it's not super smoky, just like a little phenolic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is it's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one thing I was taught at school is to never overcomplicate a recipe, and this is by far the most complicated recipe we make.
Okay.
It's got a lot of different grain in it.
Does it really?
Yeah, it does.
How many different grains?
Evan can tell you.
check it out,
He's
yeah.
got it right in front of him right there. So
Can you list them off, Evan? Our listeners will love it.
No worries. So can I list numbers? Is that okay?
yeah, you can list whatever you like.
18 bags Simpson Maris Otter, 2.5 best smoked, Braids medium crystal 1 bag, Braids light roast or light crystal 1 bag, Braids brown 1 bag, Braids chocolate 1 bag, Thomas Fawcett pale chocolate 1 bag, 2 bags Wireman Carafoam, and that's it. That's it for the malt.
I think that's 8 or 9 I counted, somewhere around
1,
there.
2, 3, 4,
Nice.
5, 8. Yeah, 8.
Yeah, 8.
Yeah.
Love it. It's good. Sorry, I just have to keep mentioning our collaborations because I'm happy about all of them. We have one on tap now called 10 by 10. It's an Imperial Porter that has 10 different malts.
Beautiful beer. Beautiful beer.
He also, it almost was 10 by 10 by 10. We were going to try to make it 10% ABV, but it was getting a little wonky on brew day, and I was like, let's not fuck it up. Let's just 10 by 10 is fine. But I'd be interested for you to try that one too.
I will for sure.
Because I kind of agree with your philosophy about like that you were taught like let's keep things as simple as we can.
Yeah.
Well, it works in this though.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
This, and as I said, this has been a work in progress for a while since brewery school. Gets tweaked a little bit here and there, but I've always been pretty stoked on it.
It's a good beer.
Yeah.
What's the ABV on this?
6.6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So not
And we
over the top,
redesigned
but-
the can this year
Yeah.
too, which was
Yeah.
fun.
Oh, all right.
Well, I was
Got
just
this.
talking to Teresa.
With Adobe software, probably.
Probably, yeah.
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 I'm sure it was involved.
We got the Starship Enterprise on there.
Nice.
Non-TM though.
Yeah, I was just talking to Teresa about this in the break. It's like when I first looked at this label, I was like, what is that? And then as I looked at it closer, I'm like, holy crap, that's the Starship Enterprise beaming up a bean of coffee. I'm like, this is the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen.
It really is.
No, I was walking up to the canning line. I was like, "Is that an avocado?"
That's what I'm saying. At first, I was like, what is this?
I picked up the can. I was like, "Oh, this is the coolest can I've ever seen."
It's
in my
like
life.
literally the coolest can I've ever seen.
It might be deploying the beans. Like we
Yes.
can't know for sure.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
No offense to Emily, it's the second coolest can I've ever seen.
Okay. All right.
Because your other one with my logo on it is way cooler.
It is very
But
cool.
this is right there. It's right there. Well, thank you for being here and sharing all this beer with us.
Of course. Thank you for having us.
I do have a cliche question for you, and it's partly because I've been trying to ask questions at the end of our shows where we just get to know people outside of their brewing world. But yours is very cliche.
You're making me real nervous right now.
Are you a Mad Max fan as an Australian?
Yes.
Have you seen the most recent one?
I have. I watched it while I was in Italy a couple of weeks ago.
It blew my mind.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't think they could. We're talking about Furiosa, of course. I didn't think they could top the last one.
Yes.
I think they did.
Yeah.
And I'm like ready to go see it again. I know this is totally off topic.
Yeah.
But how are your feelings on this movie?
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. I'm a big fan of all the movies, you know.
Same.
I grew up watching those movies and
Yeah.
I thought the latest one was great.
I'm so glad to have the validation of a real Australian saying that back to me. So yeah, same. I grew up with the movies as a kid.
Yeah.
I have like Goodfellas and Mad Max are the movies I've seen the most in my life,
Yeah.
right? Just dozens and dozens of times. And so really happy with the reboot. Saw the previews and just wasn't too sure. You know, they got rid of Charlize Theron and a couple things. I went in just as a fanboy, but not having high expectations.
Yeah.
I could have watched it again like that night.
No, I really enjoyed it. It'd be nice if they could bring Mad Mel back, but, you know, I think he's kind of had his time.
Yeah, I think his time is over. Actually, I think his time is over like 3 times because
Yeah,
he came back and
Yeah.
But that would be, you know what? Don't count it out.
No, I'm not not counting it out.
Especially the way reboots go now. There's like a reboot for everything. But they're not usually good.
No, they're not. They're not.
Do you guys have any other Mad Max fans in the room?
I'm a huge fan, and I haven't seen the new movies at all, so I'm behind.
I
thought I'm going to catch up.
The two new movies were both pretty solid.
Yep.
Yeah, I guarantee you I'm going to love them when I see them because I was like so into Mad Max when I was into old cars. Like I had a friend and we kind of like Mad Maxed out of VW.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like,
where are these photos, Teresa? I want to see this Mad Max VW.
I'll bring in
the
my
guitar going up on top, or
big tires, big like lugs, like all jacked up. Yeah.
Nice.
beautiful.
My friends built my best friend a flame-throwing guitar for Burning Man after the first reboot came out, and he got to wander around on the front of an art car playing guitar with flames shooting out of it. It was a hit. Yeah, people were like, "Oh shit, that's cool." So Mad Max inspired, obviously. All right, that's my cliche question of the day.
Okay.
All right, some quick business to take care of. Don't forget that you can get your free brewing software trial over at Beersmith. Go to beersmith.com. There's a free trial of the desktop version. There's a free trial of the web version. Every home brewer I know uses it, and half of the pro brewers I know also use it. Go to beersmith.com. It'll help you make your recipes. It's the best brewing software out there that's still actively managed by Brad Smith himself, who invented it. So there's updates all the time. It's a wonderful piece of software for home brewers and pro brewers. Go to beersmith.com and check it out. Also, 21st Amendment Hell or High Watermelon is back. You can find out where to get it by going to 21st-amendment.com. Plus, they have this beer. I don't know. They have this beer called Dodge Your Tears. Hazy IPA, which is clearly like a dig on our baseball rivals, the Dodgers, who just beat us all the time. So go check out Dodge Your Tears Hazy. I'm a little torn on the name. I don't like putting Dodger in anything, but I see that it's a subtle FU, and so I got to give Sully credit for that. Check out Dodge Your Tears Hazy IPA. 21st-amendment.com. Great beer over there, and just a wonderful supporter of this show. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Virginia, it's very nice to meet you. Pleasure to talk with you. I think you're doing good things over there with your sales team, so keep it up.
Thank you.
Yeah. Evan, thanks for being in the studio, man. Thanks for always being a listener all these years, but it's fun to get to chat with you.
Yeah, huge pleasure. This is like kind of full circle moment for me, so super excited to be here.
Awesome.
One more thing, JP sucks.
Yes.
I just want to say that.
Attaboy. JP sucks. I love it. Yeah.
And real story here, first time meeting him was a huge disappointment.
True story, right?
Meeting you was great. So.
That's been our MO for 20 years.
Teresa as well. This first time meeting Teresa is today, and it's been terrific. And
it's okay to be disappointed by me.
No. Huge overshot.
Wonderful. Well, and then a special thanks for not fucking up our beer. It was really delicious. I'm so proud of it. I hope you are too.
Great.
I'm very, very proud of that beer.
Yeah.
But Andy, thank you for doing that for us. It really means a ton to me.
Going by it.
I'm not going to celebrate like that again for another decade. And who knows if I'll even be around in another. So this one was a big deal to me, and I really appreciate you being a part of it. And the beer was just wonderful. Evan, you took good care of it. So
appreciate that. Thank you.
So
we babyed that beer for sure, honestly. Not that we don't baby every beer.
Sure.
But you know, the real special ones, I'm there with the...
Thank you. Just the extra love, I think, the beer can feel.
Yeah. I'm dumping with stethoscopes. You know, I'm hearing the heartbeat of that fermenter. I'm trying to get through.
It shines through. I'm glad we have another keg of it that I can enjoy for the rest of this week. Listeners, if you're around the Bay Area, come into the Hop Grenade because all 10 of our anniversary beers are still on tap, and they will be this week, but they're going fast. So come on out and try them. I do want to thank those breweries. I don't think I mentioned everybody, but of course, Original Pattern, as we're talking about. Altamont brewed us grenade juice. Ghost Town, our friends at Ghost Town brewed us an awesome West Coast IPA called Shockwave. They also put my logo on the can, which is really nice of them. We got to go brew with Russian River on their pilot system. We brewed Cool Pool Pale Ale, which is their, it probably has a different name up at the brewery, I'm not sure, but it's off of their R&D series, and that was super nice of Vinny to invite my team to come do that with him. Faction Pattern Brewing Company. They brewed a pale lager for us called, wait for it. That's what it's called. That's what Roger wanted to call it, so that it would be awkward like that whenever I had to say the beer name. It's called Wait For It. Tenma, they brewed us an amazing Schwarzbier. That's another sample you should get before you guys go.
I tried that on
Oh,
Sunday.
you did?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, go Tinma. Tinma's doing great things over there.
And like
Love
with that
Brennan.
one,
Love Brennan.
I knew that whatever they sent us would be good. That one, I don't know why, was surprisingly good to me. One of the best Schwarzbiers I've ever had. So
they're
that
doing
was
such good things over there. They're just such lovely people too. We're just so stoked for them.
really great spot, really great team. Win over at Wondrous, he brewed us a hoppy pills called Tasty Pills, a tribute to our friend. The 21st Amendment, they sent us their hazy beer, which was our only hazy in the whole list, and that was super cool to have too. Bartlett Hall, they brewed the 10x10 Imperial Porter, which is the other one I want you to try.
Yep.
And then last, and certainly not least, Chad. Producer Shat, as you would know him, Evan, now is the brewmaster or director of brewing, I suppose, at Bankhead in Texas, and he sent us Janet's Brown. And he sent us like an old school. The version of Janet's Brown he sent is the recipe they brewed with Tasty at Bankhead in 2016.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
He said the only difference, there's only one minor change in this recipe from that one, and that was that they didn't put any tasty cookies in the mash. In 2016, they sprinkled tasty cookies into the mash, I guess. I don't want to get them in trouble, but whatever. They're just cookies, right?
Yeah.
So, so like an incredibly stellar lineup of beers. I want to thank all of those breweries, and I just want to thank my staff and my team. 10 years is a pretty big accomplishment in this industry, and I don't spend a lot of time like sitting back and enjoying that, but I did that on Saturday, and I did that because of all the support we've got. So I want to thank everybody who came out to that. Your team came out, Andy, and I just really appreciate that. It was a big day for us. It also, I'll say this, here's a little secret, here's a little tidbit. Our biggest sales day in the history of the company.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which I actually didn't expect.
Yeah.
Things are not popping off in Concord every day nowadays. So
Trending up for the Hop Grenade.
The incredible amount of support and to trend up on that day. I will just say I slept very, very well Saturday night. Passed out very, very well. Let's be honest. Saturday night.
Passed out.
But yeah, so thanks for all the support, and for to you breweries for doing that with us. It was just something else. Okay, I'm gonna get us out of here. You guys ready? You can go have a beer with your team.
Yep.
Thank everybody for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
I really appreciate you all being here. Once again, thanks to More Beer for supporting this show and every show that we do. I've got a couple Firestone Walker shows in the lineup. I just released one from the Firestone Invitational last week, and I've got another one for you next week. I think I'm going to release this show for you guys like tomorrow. I'm going to get this one out real quick so we can get it out there. So stay tuned to the Brewing Network. We've got lots more to come. Thank you, everybody. Take care of yourselves and your beer.